But yeah,
Um,
everybody thinks it's a pig just because like I can't really draw.
oh, no way. And see, dude, again, that's one of those things where I'm way too deep in the lore of you to know that it's your dog. So I would never, never. But that's funny that someone thinks the deal with it is just a pig logo, but
Yeah, that's a number one. I would say 90% of people think it's a pig.
no way. All right, welcome in everybody. Today's interview on the channel is with a kendama legend. I've been saying that a lot, but truly this is one of the dudes who is one of the first in America, right alongside Colin and Jake and all the homies who were part of the first crews of dudes to be playing Dama, to be bringing it to America, to be turning it into battles. And Matt did a lot of other really cool stuff in the beginning, so I'm super excited to talk to him and see how he started his Dama journey and what's up now with his life, with Deal With It, and everything he's done in the years since he started. So everybody, please welcome Matt Rice to the channel. Let's go.
Hey,
What up, dude?
hey, what's up, everybody? How's it going? Thanks for having me on. I'm stoked.
Oh, dude, it's super good to have you, man. Like we are just saying, we don't ever just take time to chat and call up the homies and say how you doing. So I see your life on Insta, but I'm excited to catch up about life and also talk some old Dama history with you, dude.
Hey, man. Yeah, no, I mean, whatever. I'll answer whatever you got.
Well, dude, I think for those people who don't know, Matt Rice owns Deal With It, Kendamas. You've been doing Deal With It forever, bro. Like since I started Deal With It, like maybe let me not tell everyone. You tell me how Deal With It started and like how long you've been doing it.
Yeah, it started like, I want to say like maybe 12, 13 years ago. It was like, I don't know, back in the like Tumblr, Flickr days where people had blogs instead of vlogs. It's like, I'm that old. So it was like, it started out as like a blog that was like skating, biking, and kendama pretty much. And I just noticed like I was a bike messenger and there was a lot of bike messengers that were rollerbladers and there was a lot of rollerbladers that were into kendama. So it was like, there's all these blogs back then that were just focused on like one thing. And I was like, man, there's so much crossover, like, and they don't really mesh super, or they just like, I don't know, you don't follow those industries. So it was like, I'll just show like cool kendama and like cool rollerblading and cool biking and like try and like cross promote was like the idea. So basically started as a blog that way. But yeah, I want to say like maybe 13 years because like Green Theory was like 10. And I started to deal with it a little bit before, but I wasn't like making stuff. It was a blog for years.
Yeah. Well, so I guess my intro to it was Ken Suna's. I think somehow or another, I feel like that is like what I associated with you the most. And now that you say the blog, I always forget that that's how we communicated and how we shared things before there was Insta and stories. Like we had our blogs that were kind of just sharing what we liked. And I followed yours and the Ken Garden and a lot of people because you guys were like, it was kendama news essentially because there was so little of it back in the day. You could keep up with all of it. Like with a new edit that came out, it was like an easy week's worth of blogging to be like, yo, check out this new edit. He did Lunar. It's actually insane. Like, you know, like, but when did you make your first Ken Suna? That had to have been pretty early on in the San Fran days.
Yeah, that was pretty early on. I don't remember the exact, like, when I did the first one. But I think that was the first product that we did. I'm not sure because it was like at the time we were doing Grain Theory, and it was like in the beginning with Grain Theory, it was all like US made, all the kendamas were $100. So like I'd run into like a bike messenger homie or like a skate homie and they're like, what do you do? I'm like, oh, I own this company. But it's like, if you're new to Dama, you weren't about to drop $100.
Yeah.
So with Deal With It, it was like, well, I have this blog and like it has like a little bit of a following. So like I'll just get like a little box of Damas for the homies for like $25 Damas, or at the time $25 Damas.
Yeah.
So it started with that. So I'm not sure if I did the Damas first or the Suna first, but either way, basically one of my wife's friends, we would hang out and he did like leather work and like he would make all this crazy stuff. And we just got to chatting one day about making like a holster for Damas. Because back then, like the only one I ever saw was like a Mugen one.
Yeah.
It was like a weird, like
I got it.
metal, weird looking thing, but they were impossible to get.
And they were expensive as heck, dude. It's like $150.
Yeah, so I showed him that and was like, man, like if we could do something, and then just kind of started chatting with him. I went to his like little workshop and we just kind of did it together. His name was Ethan. If it wasn't for Ethan, it never would have happened. So I don't know how to leather work, you know what I mean? Or anything like that.
Dude, yeah. I mean, so I'm not going to tell your story, but I'm almost positive that you were doing Ken Sunas before Grain Theory stuff, because I think I knew you as like this individual human aside from Jake and aside from Grain Theory as like the holster dude. Because I bought one of like every drop for a very long time. Like, because, when was the first like mission that I went to, the first like event I went to was in Marcy Parker, or in that park in San Francisco, and Turner was there, and it was, 2012 or 2011 or 2012, something like that. And I was rocking the Suna then, I'm pretty sure, like at that event.
That's true. That's true now that you mention it. Yeah, I can't remember that, but I do remember like Dama Fest. It was like me and Jake he had a Ken Garden booth, and I had to deal with a booth, and I had Sunas there, and that was definitely pre-Grain Theory, and that was definitely pre-deal with it Dama. So I think you're right. In my memory, I'm just like, I'm terrible with that stuff, dude.
Dude, you've been in it so long. Like, let's go back to the beginning and put a date on it. Like, when did you find kendama for the first time? What year was it, and how long did it take you to like progress and start realizing that this is something you were gonna do?
I always like go back to like my YouTube, and there's like a YouTube video of me doing some like terrible tricks or whatever, and that says 15 years ago. So 15 years ago, and it was like I found it, back to blogs or whatever. There was a rollerblading blog, and the funny thing was they were showing an old video. So it was a skate video, like a rollerblading video, because I'm a rollerblader, a rollerblading video from 2000, and they were just like, check out this old video. And in the credits of the video, there's like, credits are rolling, and they're in Japan, and there's some dude playing with this little thing. And I'm like, what is that? So I just kind of started Googling it, and I was living in San Francisco at the time. So I was like, I'll go to Japantown and like show people this thing. And like, dude,
Dang.
Back then it was like, no one had heard of it. Like some people were like, oh, like that's like an old thing that like my grandfather had, but like you couldn't even find one. You know what I mean? So It was like, but that was my introduction. It was through like a rollerblade video. And I would say like, 15-ish years ago. And yeah, I think it's just like I messed around with it. And then it was like, I don't know if YouTube was just starting or YouTube was pretty fresh. And
it was fresh.
I think I just started YouTubing it. Like, what do I, when you get a kendama, like a couple things are pretty obvious. They're like, I'm going to do all the cups. I'm going to spike it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then you're like, what else? You know what I mean?
I guess. Yeah. I forget those early days. Like I forget what my mind was thinking actually in like those next moments. But I remember being like, I remember realizing there were so many options, like, because I think I was holding it upside down like this and like was just trying to do this. And I was like, man, if I could do this, then I could get it here. And then all I remember was like these progressions just immediately showed up in my head. So if you saw it just like I did, well, you saw it in a rollerblade video, I saw it in a ski movie, but I went and Googled and found nothing as well. Where did you actually buy your first one from, and what was it? Do you remember?
I do remember for sure. It was a TK16, red TK16 for sure. It's hard to remember nowadays, but it was like, just like put it in Google, and I don't know. It's like it was like Kendama Spot or Kendama Depot, or not Kendama Depot. That's a new one. I think it was like Kendama Spot, and it ended up being like some guy like in the Seattle area that had it was either that or like a complete random site.
There was a dude because they got in trouble for the lead, right? There's that whole article about him, and they were out of Seattle, right. So that's probably true.
Yeah, he got in trouble for the lead, and then back then it was like, also it was like pre-Mugen hype. It was like he had Mugens on there for the same price as
yeah, he did.
It was like a Shin Fuji was the same price as a Mugen. You know what I mean?
That's just what the game was, dude, in the beginning. That's so nuts. Yeah, I went to eBay for mine. That's like, I literally just went to eBay and typed it in once I found the real name. And I remember paying like $30 for the TK16s because I got like all the colors so my friends could have them. But I remember the shipping being more than the Damas cost, and that's when like it was my first ounce of like, this sucks. Even if I like this, I couldn't buy more type of vibe because I didn't have enough loot. So it's like the business person in me initially went, okay, they've got to be somewhere for cheaper because this is extreme, you know?
No, now that you mention it, I feel like I probably went that route because I was a big eBayer. I sold a lot of stuff on eBay, and I may have done that, and like it was the same thing. The shipping was crazy, and then I found that kendama spot place. But I don't know. My first one might have been that. You know, it might have been the same thing. But I know once I found that place, I was like, this is the only place in America to save on shipping, kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, then, I mean, we only because we're talking .coms, you became like a teammate of iPureShop.com, didn't you? Like really early on? Super really nerdy. I probably just muttered a sentence that like no one in chat knows what I just said, but like just like kendamaspot.com, one of the first places you could buy kendamas that was like, that had active inventory of stuff from Japan was this place called iPureShop.
Yeah. No, that's the thing too. Like, I always think back, like, who was that kendama spot guy? Like, who was he? Is he still around?
I don't know. The dude from Seattle, it was probably just like a toy store owner who like saw it before, like he saw the path, but the lead thing probably just like traumatized him to a point where he's like, I'm not messing with kendama again.
Yeah.
Because that was like a real like I can't remember why, but there's a whole article about it. Like that when we first started Googling kendama back in the day, it was like one of the first things that showed up. It was so crazy.
Yeah. No, that was great. And it's funny. It's like we wanted the lead too.
Yeah, no. Well, yeah, the paint made the paint better. Yeah, it made the paint better. Who cares if we're licking it and touching it and whatever.
It was pre-licking too. We weren't licking bevels back then.
No, you're totally right. That's very true.
If you could do a stilt flip back then, you were basically like God.
Essentially, yeah. Dude, crazy side tangent, but Nanoka still doesn't wet her bevel at all. And she is the nastiest on stage and all this stuff. So it's like, if you think you have to lick your bevel to land tricks, you don't have to. It's just something we have turned into a thing, essentially.
Yeah, no, just, yeah.
Dude, okay, so I wanted to talk more about the beginning of kendama stuff because there's another nerdy thing like iPureShop.com that people may not know, which is Kendoppler radar. I think much like your blog, Kendoppler was your first attempt, and I don't know if it was your and Jake's, but it was your guys' first attempt at trying to create something in San Francisco that was outside of just yourselves for kendama. Is that true, or what was it really?
Yeah, pretty much. It was just like in the rollerblading, it was like there was a video called Battle My Crew, and everybody had a crew, and it was like, the Minnesota crew or the San Francisco crew, and you had a funny name and like you repped your crew or whatever. And like nobody played kendama. It was like me, and then I showed Jake, and then Jake got on it. And then there was our other guy, John Hall. He was a homie that played. You probably remember, he had a JKA tattoo right here. Like,
oh, dang.
Way back in the day. So he was in Adama for a little bit, but then once me and Jake took it to like run our entire lives, it kind of faded away. Mm-hmm. But it was just like our crew. And we were like, oh, just make like a funny name. And like, I think we made a couple videos as that, but it was just like us three hanging out, and like no one else played this toy. And so we just like made it as like kind of like a joke, like a funny ass name. Like our friend John's like real funny dude, and he might have came up with the name. I don't know, but yeah, it was just like a 3-man crew, just like, made a couple videos. Yeah. That's about it, really.
But and that's before Ken Garden, before Deal With It. Like, I think.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's the coolest part to me is like, because a lot of people may only know Grain Theory, or you know what I'm saying? So the fact that it can go all the way as far as back as this like punny name that you guys tried to grind on for a little bit is kind of like it's such a cool little piece of lore that I love. It's funny.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, no, when you said that in your in the story, I was like, oh damn, he's going way back. Yeah, it is crazy to think that. I never thought that was pre-Ken Garden, that was pre-Deal With It. Yeah,
dude, that was the beginning of it is the beginning of YouTube and stuff for real though too, because I started college in '06, and that's when really YouTube just popped off, was like in '06, '07. So we're not like more than a couple years past it, trying to just figure out what it is. Like these are the days you could type in kendama and like you wouldn't get a lot of things. Like you would find a few things, but and every single human I talk to is like, we use YouTube comments to talk to one another for a really long time. Like that was our form of communication, because you know, we're responding to tricks that we've never seen, and like in talking to people from other countries. It was our like Facebook before there was Facebook type of vibe. It was crazy.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, even like the iPure thing was like weird, because, you know, it was like with like being a skater, like you film yourself. That's just what you do. So it was like, I'll film myself, put it on the internet, and then like, I don't even know, iPure was, I think, Taiwan.
Yeah, it was. Sure. It was Parker. It was Yumu. Like,
yeah, they reached out to me, and it was like some website with like all this like action sports stuff, and I was like, what? And they sent me these cool shirts. Yeah, it was all YouTube based. Yeah,
dude, he was a skimboarder, and he was like, he did all kinds of, before he started making kendamas, he ran iPure Shop and like proved concept to start a factory essentially through that, and then quit doing iPure Shop and then started making kendamas, and then the rest is history. But
I don't think I ever knew that.
Really?
I didn't know he was iPure.
That was Parker Yu, man. That was because he was full like action sports like before he did that longboarding and like the skimboarding, and it was something else that he specialized in selling. But that's definitely what led him into it, because Taiwan is super famous for woodworking. So he was like, well, I can do that. He was like a wizard. He was like an engineering wizard. He built all his own machines and stuff. Like he was crazy, like more motivation than one human should have. He was crazy.
Yeah. Did you ever go there? Like his?
Yeah, dude. We manufactured there from 2014 to 2016 or something like that. There was like a 3-year period where we left Hanrui because we just weren't hyped, and then we went to Parker's, and we went there a lot actually because we were active in like the buying of machines and stuff. Like we were helping him build this factory to produce kendamas solely for us and him for, you know, the future. So Taiwan was epic and really cool. But in the end of the day, a long story short, Parker wanted to be Kazuma. Like he wanted Yumu to be Mugens, you know what I mean? Like more than like a Hanrui who wants all of us to have awesome products that we sell. Like they are really good at that. They don't want to be the Hanrui doesn't want to be a brand that is the best in the world necessarily, but Parker, that was his goal from the jump. Like, I will be the best. I will make the coolest. I will be the most creative, you know? And sometimes when you have too many ideas, it goes, you know, it goes the other way. Sometimes when you have too many good ideas, you can't execute on one good enough. You know how it goes. That's some serious lore, I guess. But that's why these combos are fun, because you know all those things a lot, but sometimes connecting the dots behind the scenes, it just takes going there and talking to dude for a little bit to find out those crazy things about kendama, you know, that have happened.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's it. Yeah.
Dude, there we go, dude. Sling Shady hopped in the chat and said you were the first Kenko Pro. Is that true?
Yeah, first Kenko Pro.
I don't think I knew that. And maybe I did, but I do not remember that. Holy cats.
Yeah, I can't remember. Back then it was like, I don't remember how I got in touch with those guys, but it was like, I don't know, like all the homies were like involved with Kusa, basically. Like even like the Roots tour, I always joke, it was like Kusa and like me and Mash. And I was if you really think about it. So it's like, I don't know how they got in touch with me, or they knew, you know, I was on some of my iPure and this other stuff. And yeah, they reached out to me, and I even helped them like pick the team, like pick the other guys, like
really
like Nick Sturgios and like Alex Sierra.
Yes.
Alex Sierra too. So, oh yeah, no, I was the first guy on, and like we even designed like a pro model and everything. I got samples of it. It never got made, but
no way.
I was the first person on and like picked a bunch of the team, because I don't know if like they were really super involved at first. So like didn't know who was who. So they were like, who else should we put on the team?
Yeah. They were like taking your lead, like as the dude with the most knowledge.
It's weird. It's like I was like the first. I feel like that was like the early Kenko era before it became like Kenko. Like it became like Bonds and all those dudes. You know what I mean? It became its own thing, you know, like.
Pre-bonds
Bright
can
Thomas.
go, I would say, for sure, is a thing. Like,
Yeah, I was like pre that, but I was the first guy on. Yeah, oddly enough. Yeah.
I can't believe that. So,
Yeah.
and that's the craziest thing about you as a human, because and how you fit into so many places in the kendama world, because we were saying you're writing a blog, you have this deal with it, making your own kinsunas and stuff in the beginning. You have your good friend Jake, who you're obviously collaborating, doing stuff with all the time, and you're sponsored by iPeer. Kenko sponsors you, and then Tara can't be far behind that, because I feel like that was early on, or was that deeper in Tara's life that, like, did you officially drop iPeer, drop Kenko, and then was Tara the next thing?
Well, there was another one in there. It's funny because
let's go.
I didn't know Parker was Yumu and he was iPeer. So it was like iPeer, sponsored by iPeer. And then like Yumu came about and I was like sponsored by Yumu.
Oh.
I made a bunch of like Yumu edits, like when they had the pegs you could put in.
Yeah.
There, I was sponsored by Yumu for a while. And like, so it's like iPeer turned into Yumu and I was kind of sponsored by them. And then it kind of just like went away. I don't know. I just kind of stopped talking to him. And then like Kenko happened. And then Tara was like, I remember then it was like Jake started doing King Garden. And then that kind of started blowing up. And then like Alex Smith and them ended up coming to one of the King Garden events. And we met them and like we vibed with them really well. And then, yeah, a couple of years later, they asked me to be on, but I don't know. I think before then I had quit Kenko because I was like gonna try and get on Kusa, or like, I don't know whatever happened with that. I think it was like I quit Kenko because I thought I was gonna get on Kusa, and then I never did. And then Alex, we were just the homies, so then Alex was just like, dude, like, just play for us.
Dude, so can you like, and it might be a hard question for you to answer, but what do you think it was about you and your style that like drew all these companies to want you? Like, I'm saying that in the nicest way possible, right? Because like you do have tricks you've invented and your style is super unique. And back in the day, you were doing stuff on par with what people were doing, you know what I'm saying? So like that's always obviously something we can talk is how things change in 15 years. But like, do you think it was something specific that like drew it, or was it the relationships that you created mainly that was like?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think just early on, it was just putting out a lot. You know what I mean? It was like, pre-Instagram. Yeah, I was just putting out a lot of content. I think in the beginning with iPure and maybe Kenko and Yumu, it was like there weren't a lot of people around. So like at the time, maybe I was like one of the top dudes. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As far as like skill level went or whatever, I never felt like I was I remember seeing like Turner and them and was just like, I can't, compete with this. So like, I'll just do something weird. But I think early on, it was just like, I put out a lot of content, which I think, as as an owner, that looks good to people. It's like, damn, this guy's making shit and it doesn't look, it looked pretty good. It wasn't like a Weens production or anything, but it was like pretty good quality. And I was putting out a lot. I think early on that may have, but then it just turned into like, oh, these events started happening. Then it just turned into like relationships, like I know with Alex and them, it wasn't like, I wasn't the best, I mean, I was doing like weird, trying to do weird stuff, but I think it was just like, we just vibed as far as Terra goes. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think your YouTube statement is the truest thing, because you had a lot of really quality YouTube videos in the beginning that were like fun to watch. I mean, one of my favorite is one you selfishly use one of my damas in your video, but it's the one where you show the kendama that you're using in the lower left-hand corner. You Photoshop it out, and like, I think we watch it once a year on the channel because I really do like it. As far as like, before we had Insta, before we had all these things, I thought this was a really cool idea that always comes back. I'm always super hyped on. But that was like 2013 or something like.
Dude, yeah, no clue. Yeah, no, that's like the number one. Everyone loved that. Like, put the Dom in the corner, and back then, like, who knows? I mean, I don't think I was on Terra yet, but I was using everything. I mean, even back then, it's like, I don't even remember how we started talking at first, but it's like I remember you sending me like this yellow Tama that was like sample paint, and it's like, hey, try this out, because the community was so small. Like, I don't think you had a team yet, or maybe you did, or it was just the homies.
Yeah.
So it was like, hey, try this paint out, like, so
No, yeah, I sent you and Ballard and Dave Mateo, and like, not knowing you guys, seriously, just cold Facebook messaged you being like, yo, I'm working on a new paint. Like, I need some people who know what they're doing to test it. Would you like help me out? Because it was I remember it was this first paint that we were like proud of, that it like didn't just fall off the ball. It kept some tack to it. And yellow, as you know, was like the color that you wanted to have because you couldn't get it anywhere. So like trying to make a yellow ball was like all we wanted to do. So, but again, it goes back to, just like all the other people who saw you on the internet, I was just like those people who was like, oh, this dude, it'd be cool if he played with one of my Adamas in his video, because he has good production and stuff. So that's very cool. And I mean, the rat tail, I brought it up casually, but like, can we just talk a smidge about it? Because that's the trick that you invented back in the day, right? Like, I'm not getting that wrong. You didn't snag that from some epic Euro or Japanese video from the vaults.
No, I never saw,
I
never saw Freedom Kendama do it.
No, same.
But no, it was just one of those things where it's like, you pull it up straight, it kept popping out, and it was just like annoying. It was just like an annoyance, and there was no bearings, and like people never put the extra knot. It was just early on. It just kept popping out, so I just grabbed it one day and just.
Oh yeah, for those people who don't know what rat tail is and what we're talking about, like when you go to pull it up, sometimes the bead will come out. So Matt like just made it a trick. He would pull the bead out on purpose, grab it, drop it, and then escape from it in different ways. And you created like a genre of tricks. Like it was really cool. And it was the beginning of. It opened the Pandora's box of, oh, we don't have to do only JKA tricks, I think. Like, it's one of those first tricks that was like, oh, we can just do whatever we want? That's awesome. At least that's how I felt when I saw it for the first time.
No, for sure. Yeah, back then it definitely was like, everyone doing like standard stuff, and now it's turned into, Aventus or like Adrian, like just completely off the wall with it,
Special beads.
Just trying to do weird stuff.
Yeah.
It was, it's a weird one.
Yeah.
It's a weird trick.
No, it's cool. It's cool. I mean, and like you said, Aventus and Adrian, like, you walk so they could run type of vibe. Like now Adrian has his own string, his own bead, knots it a certain way. Like, it's a setup now for those type of tricks, which is, I mean, it's just very sick. It's cool how our sport has grown over 15 years, and how a simple trick like rat tail that you just think's goofy in your kitchen can like inspire people, which is dope.
Yeah, that was the thing. It was I kept messing around with it. I'm like, I couldn't get out of it. I'm like, how do you make it look cool? Because it just looks like garbage unless you get it like just right. And then it was like, oh, you could get out of it. I mean, it was like also like skating background. It was like, when that came around, it was like the Turner Thorns and the Colin Sanders and stuff. It's like, I can't compete with those guys. And with the skating world, it's like you have like the ultra techie guy and you've got this guy doing a bunch of weird stuff. So I was like, well, I guess I'm going to go this route. I can't really.
So in kendama, it's early. There's not a lot of people to follow. Who was your inspiration? Like, were there people that inspired you in the beginning to like be better and to progress?
Dude, yeah. I would say Sander. I remember like, eventually at some point, like when I was putting stuff out, like came upon like a Sander edit. And I remember joking, being like, this is the first like American dude I've ever seen on YouTube. Or like we would be like, oh, this is the first white boy like playing kendama, because it was all just like Japanese players online, Yep. So I would say Sander, because it was real. He was like so far ahead of everybody that it was like just so astronomical, mind blowing. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't even know who you could compare. Like, I would say maybe like early Stod. Like, I feel like early Stod came and it was just like absolutely like so far ahead of the game. In my opinion, I'm a little biased, obviously, but I do think I would say Sander was number one.
And that's a thread I think again a lot of us have, because he is the first, and he is like, I remember watching it at 7 and him doing spacewalk to lunar and being like, well, I'll never do that. That is literally impossible. I can't do the lunar. I can't even hold it here. How is, all these, it's in the beginning where these questions are, you already have a ton of questions, but then to watch a homie in California do it already is kind of like, okay. So, but at the same point that it was like mesmerizing, I think it was also the gas we needed to not stop and to like keep playing, to be like, okay, there is a homie who actually can do this. Because without that, who knows, like, if we push, because lunar is all I wanted, to be honest. Like, that's literally all my only goal was to do it. And without tutorials, it took so much beating my head against the wall to like get it to spin and to pull up, that. Yeah. But without Colin's video, I'm not sure I go down that road or even try to get close, because it seems so impossible based on the other videos of the time, I guess. So, but it's cool that we all have kind of the same answer most of the time, because aside from what you said, Freedom Kendama and, Shimadera and the dude in front of the van, right? Like, those are our 4 videos we had to choose from,
Yeah, the guy, he had the leather pants on.
Yeah. Dude, someone, Tomatsu or someone, I guess, recently ran into him and, like, talked to him. I shouldn't even bring up the story because I don't know the answer. I don't know the rest of the story, but it's so cool that he exists in the world still, and like maybe now knows he's famous to all of us, which would be a crazy thing he probably doesn't even realize,
Dude, yeah. It's crazy to think though, because I feel like what you said is totally true. Like with Sander, like being like, damn, we can get there, we could go there. But it's like, who was Sander's guy? Like, how did he, you know what I mean? Like, he's doing Spacewalk to Lunar and you're like, how did he get there?
Dude, well, you should go watch my interview with him, because it was Freedom Kendama, but he was essentially watching GIFs online from the JKA website. Like, the JKA had like old school links that you could click that would show the motions of what was happening. And he said he was on like an old website that doesn't exist, just clicking through tricks, like, and watching GIFs. And I remember learning how to do Diablo that way on the early dial-up internet, so I know exactly what he's talking about. But when he said that, it was the oldest answer I'd gotten yet, where it was like, because who does he learn from? We all say him, but he had to like go deep internet on it and find something. So that's super funny.
Dang, yeah, no, that's not. Also, Van Reven too.
Yes, dude. I mean,
he was so far ahead of everybody too.
He was
edit 74 or something like.
Yeah, he was putting out edit 21 when we were just getting going,
Yeah, exactly.
He's still another dude to this day, because we keep in touch now a little bit every year now, that like he's actually has his own business, does like carpentry and crazy stuff in Amsterdam. But he left Kendama because like he felt that like him and American Kendama style didn't mesh the way like him and American players didn't mesh exactly or see eye to eye on trick things. And because his brain, he has like tricks. He says still to this day, he's like, I have tricks that will never be done, that I think could be done, but I don't know if I want to share them. Like, he literally he's this dude who just, his brain worked in a different way with Kendama. And kind of like Chaz Edwards, when you watch their early edits, they're doing tricks that are like juggles and trades and things that like we're now like exploring today, but they were on it back in 2010, but it's really hard to watch a lot of them because they're in like 480. I go back and we try to watch them, dude, and it's like, it's just really hard to watch a 480 edit, and like only because our eyes are so used to 4K now, it's bananas.
No, I know, yeah.
Oh man. Okay, so someone had a good question. They wanted to know what Deal With It. How did you get the name for Deal With It, your company?
Oh, I think at the time, I don't know. I just like, I've always been known to like speak my mind, I guess. And it was just kind of like, I guess I was just saying it all the time, like, deal with it, just deal with it. I don't really remember that, but that I would say like, that does sound like me.
Yeah.
At least like 20 something me, now I'm older, I'm more mellow.
Yeah.
But I think that's why. I think it was just, I was saying it all the time, I don't. Yeah. Just
that's
one of those things.
That's a chill enough answer, dude. And the icon was your original dog, a Boston Terrier, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it was I had a Frenchie Boston mix, but Boston Terriers are like my favorite dog, like the classic black and white.
Mm-hmm.
And when I went to do it, it's like, I'm not like an artist, so it was like. But when I was like, if I'm doing this, I want it to be like all me. So I just drew like a million of them, and then I just picked my favorite one, and then like that was the one we went with.
Oh, cool, man. I didn't know that. I guess I kind of assumed because you've always had like a sketch style when it came to your logos, but I didn't know you literally did it yourself. That's sick.
Yeah, I was like a lot of the homies, like bike messenger homies and stuff, were into like graffiti and like stickering and stuff. So I was always doing that, like stenciling and like wheat pasting and stuff. I was always into that kind of stuff. So it was like, back in the day, you go to the post office and like steal all the labels. So I just would do that. And yeah, I just drew a million of the dogs. And then I was like, oh man, they never look the same and this takes forever. So like, let me just do one good one and then like buy a stamp, So.
Yeah. Dude, that's sick.
But yeah, everybody thinks it's a pig just because like I can't really draw.
Oh, no way. And see, dude, again, that's one of those things where I'm way too deep in the lore of you to know that it's your dog. So I would never. But that's funny that someone thinks the deal with it is just a pig logo, but
yeah, that's a number one. I would say 90% of people think it's a pig.
No way.
Yeah, it's that high. Like even like Kendama Fufu, like they end up doing like some deal with it, clothing that they sold there, and it literally says like I am dog, like on purpose to be like I'm a dog, not a pig. So they like played off the joke, which I thought was like super cool. But
yeah, dude. All right, 1 in chat if you think it's a pig, and 2 in chat if you thought it was a dog. we'll see what people thought.
All right, there we go.
Okay, let's put deal with it aside real quick, just because I want to talk about grain theory, because you and Jake started that bad boy back in the day, and I want to talk more about like the vibes of, you both had your own thing, and in your mind, what was like that point where it was like, yo, we're better off together trying to create this one cool thing as opposed to grinding on our 2 blogs separately? Do you remember that like moment in San Fran or how that came to be?
Yeah, I do. I think it wasn't like, hey, you're running your blog. It was kind of like I said, at the time, like I guess I was only making the Sunas first. So I just came to Jake one day and I honestly said, like, this isn't a slight. I was like, dude, these other guys are starting companies and you and I know more than they do. Like, no, like,
yes, of course. I get it.
Essentially referring to like you, I would be like you, either way.
Kenko,
like,
everyone.
Yeah, everybody. I literally was like, dude. And the thing is, like, when you're a skater, it's always like you want to be a pro skater or like you want to own your own company. So I feel like if you're in that world, it's just always kind of in your mind. So it's like to do one of those things. So I remember going to Jake and said, I want to start a kendama company. Like, are you in or are you out? You know what I mean? Like, I'm doing it either way. It's going to be better if we do it together.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But I don't think it ever came like, you're doing that, I'm doing this. Like, stop doing that and let's do this. Because like we both did it for a long time. But
yeah, that's true.
I definitely remember saying like, dude, we know more than these dudes. Why not? Like, let's just do it. Like, let's just try. And like, have it domestically made was like a really big part of it. It was like, because companies were already forming. Like, you guys were forming and Kusa and Kenko and stuff. So it was like, well, what's different? You know what I mean? Like, so that was a big aspect of it. It was like domestically made. I'm doing it. Are you in? And it's like, let's do it. So.
Yeah. Well, I think the domestically made was a big part of it because Terra had proven concept. I think that like people wanted cool, unique damas, and they were willing to pay more money than we thought if it was because we could produce higher quality damas in America than in China. Like that was just a fact at that moment in time, and I don't think that is necessarily the case anymore. And that's why the prices are harder to garner for American made things, even though it's the same quality wood. It's the same higher quality precision woodworking that you're getting from America. It's just that China has gotten much better at making kendamas in the last 10 years, than when homegrown and grain theory, had started because there was a different quality and the people who bought them could tell immediately. And that was your guys' advantage for a super, super long time in kendama.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah, homegrown. Yeah, dude, totally spaced on it. But yeah, that's right. Yeah, the homegrowns were fire. Yeah, man, domestically made was a big thing,
And where did you make them again? Sorry to interrupt.
What was the question?
Where did you make the first ones?
It was first ones were like Jake.
Was it
Well,
Paul?
it wasn't RWB. It was like Jake's brother, basically.
In the paw factory, or did you buy a factory to start Grain Theory? Like, did you buy machines to start it, or did you utilize other machines to make the first batch before you ever got Eric on stuff?
No, it was like essentially, I remember for like a year, literally just because our whole goal was like only in America. So like, I remember for a solid year calling anything I could Google or whatever, like calling every wood lathe manufacturer in America, no one knew what kendama was, trying to explain it to them and just having like zero luck. Like,
sounds familiar.
Sure, order 100,000 a year,
Yeah,
we'll do it.
Yeah.
We ran into that kind of stuff, but I remember, I think Jake's brother got into it through Jake, I would assume, and his brother and all his friends are like engineers and stuff, and like, what I came to learn was like they were engineers for all these other factories, but like not secretly or not. They wanted to always like do their own thing. Like, hey man, we are all smart. We're all engineers for like M&M factories and doing like stuff like that. And I could be wrong with that, but I know they're all engineers and they always wanted to do their own thing. So I think it just kind of happened where it was like, we can't find a manufacturer. My brother's an engineer. All his friends are engineers. They've always wanted to do their own thing. Let's do it that way. And then like Jake's dad, obviously, was like an expert wood turner. So I think like in the beginning it was like that. So the first ones were all like Eric and what came to be known as RWB later.
Dang.
But yeah, they made the first ones. I mean, it was like, dude, we were using a tiny little lathe and everything,
Yeah, dude, that's so sick. Fast forward, is that not the craft factory today? Like RWB ended up turning into the craft factory eventually, or do they still create, or does Eric still make kendamas today?
No, it's it was like, we got small. It was really small, and they were just doing it in a thing, and then it was like, whoa, this is like really turning into a thing, and it was like we have to upgrade, so like they upgraded and became their own thing, and it was like they were RWB, and they bought a legit machine and like a legit workshop, and then pretty
they had
much
their own shape.
Jake and I just bought from them, kind of thing,
Yeah.
But then essentially, I think it's hard to remember, or I don't know what to say, but it was like they were kind of.
You don't have to say anything you don't know. It's okay. Like if you're not sure, you don't have to say it.
I think for them, it just became like, it's too much effort for not enough money. So like, we kind of want to get out. Basically kind of thing.
Yeah.
So they sold it. They sold it to J-Ro.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, it's the same. It's the same equipment and everything. And it used to all be in Chattanooga, and now like J-Ro moved it to where he is now in Georgia. And but yeah, it's all the same stuff.
Yeah.
But it's not Eric and them anymore. It's just all J-Ro and Ryan.
Dude, Ryan, he's the man, dude. He's the one-man wrecking crew making it happen over there, dude. It's so crazy.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, they turn some very nice stuff still to this day. But I think that's just a cool, it's a cool train. I mean, you put that in motion 11 years ago, and that's something people don't know. And now they do. So cool information, as always.
Yeah, no. It is crazy to think, yeah.
No, I think you don't think about it probably very often until I try to dig a little deeper to be like, okay, like what actually did happen? Because I know on the outside, I feel like I know these things, but it's cool to like hear your like actual memorization or rendition of how you did it. Because I remember the day we were in Japan, it was like 2014 or 2013. It was one of the first times I was in Japan, and I remember Jake being like, dude, do you know about grain theory yet? And I was like, grain theory? What are you talking about? Like, no, what are you doing now? And I remember him showing me like the designs of like the first kendama and all this stuff on like a napkin essentially, because you guys had just like had your meetings and were just like we're gonna do this and it's real, and like it was a there's I don't know, seasons is the wrong word, but there's like generations of kendama where different things happen that change what happens. And Grain Theory was one of those things where like your guys' shape and the lunar ability and the swoop and all those things were like a new step in kendama manufacturing. So I just wanted to shout you guys out because I obviously am a big fan of both of you, but I think Grain Theory did a lot of awesome things for kendama when it was getting going. So it's cool.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, I mean, a few people have, back in the day said that, like, we were the first ones that were like, dude, we don't have to follow these rules. Like, it's like, oh, the JKA and this, and it can only be this. And it's like, well, who said that? You know what I mean? So.
Isn't it crazy? We just were such different humans at that same point because, like, I think at that exact moment you were putting, like, wormholes in Seratos and saying, like, F it. I was, like, having meetings that week trying to get, like, a seal on a Sweets Kendama to be JK certified because, like, that was my only goal, like, as, like, we just had different goals that led us different paths, but, like, it's so funny that we can both want so much good for kendama, but approach it in such a different way, Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
It's very dope. Okay. So, traveling with kendama, you haven't traveled to a ton of, you've traveled a bunch of places, but you don't go to like every single event. Is there like an event through your traveling through kendama that like stands out to you as one that you wish you could do again, or one that was just like, you'll never forget it?
I would say, a lot of times it came down to, I was like behind the scenes guy at Grain Theory. So it was kind of like, a lot of times it didn't really make sense of flying me out. It's like, you can fly me out, I'll run the booth, or you can fly Ben Harold out and he'll win the damn thing.
No, I get
and
that for sure.
The booth. So, the last couple of years, it's like, I haven't gone to a lot of things because it just never really made much sense. It's like, Jake's like, we were kind of opposites. Like, he's super outgoing. I'm really not. So it was always like, send Jake, he'll make coffee and, do a dance at the booth. That's what he's good at. He's amazing at that stuff. So, so I never, lately I haven't been, it's not that I don't want to go, you know what I mean?
Of course.
As far as like, because I've only been to Japan twice, like one was like KWC and one was a Catch and Flow. And I would say for me, the most memorable was the Catch and Flow, because I look back and it was like in Tokyo and we had the whole squad. It was like, so man, I look back, I'm like, dude, we spent some serious money getting everybody there. It was just like the whole crew had this huge, and it wasn't a huge Airbnb. We had a big Airbnb and just like everybody was there.
Do you remember what year it was?
Dude, I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's chill. That's chill.
Terrible with it. But it was, I want to say like Fisher did really well. I don't know if that says anything. Who won? Bonds won, but that doesn't really.
At Catch and Flow?
Yeah,
Bonds won like every year for 3 years or something. So
yeah, exactly.
But it was the year of Fisher being good, so it was probably like 2016 or somewhere around there, perhaps.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, I would say that trip for sure. Just because the squad was so deep, and like, KWC is his own thing, and then like Catch and Flow in Tokyo, it's like it's
a different vibe.
Crazy.
Yeah,
it's a total different vibe. So for me, that's like number one trip, and. Yeah, for sure. Number one.
Yeah, that's dope. I think you came to the first NACO too, or the first MKO in the train station, didn't you?
Yeah, I was there at the very first one.
Yeah.
I think we slept in your basement.
Yeah, something like that, dude. That was when we had the Grand House. That's when we had that house with all kinds of people in it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I remember that. And the train station was fire, dude. That was cool.
Yeah, dude. Oh my gosh. So you came to the first MKO, which obviously was one of the best events you ever went to, but then Catch and Flow, that's it. And for those people who don't know, KWC is more like a guided tour of Japan, and Catch and Flow is like one day of kendama and the rest is figure it out on your own and enjoy Tokyo. So it's two different vibes, but both very needed if you love kendama as much as us. They're awesome for different reasons.
Yeah, you got to do both for sure. You got, yeah.
Okay, so let's go to nowadays things. And I've been asking some people like, are there Are there things that surprise you in kendama today? Like from where we've came and what damas we were making in the beginning, like is there one thing that like surprises you most about the new metas or the new shapes or anything in kendama today that like you maybe didn't expect or didn't see coming?
Uh, I think as far as shapes and stuff, not really. I mean, it's like everything's getting bigger, cups are getting bigger, bevels are getting bigger. I kind of
Yeah.
expected that. Well, they were doing that box thing. Did they still do the box at KWC where your dom has to fit into a box? Yeah, exactly.
This was the first year. There's a height requirement, but there's no other requirements aside from the size of your bevel and the height of the dama.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. There's a bevel requirement?
Yeah, dude. Actually, it's 23.5 millimeters or smaller. So my current legend shape is you can't use the tama for KWC.
Oh, dude, yeah. Well, peak, our new V5 is definitely a 24.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm sorry, you can't use it at KWC, dude.
Yeah. So whatever, but so for me, as far as shapes and stuff go, pretty much it makes sense. But I would say just the level is like just astronomical. Like I can't even follow it. You know what I mean? It's like I'm just like a dinosaur. It's like I'm watching like body. It's like what is happening? And just how consistent too.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So yeah, I would just say the level of play has just gone way further than I ever thought it would.
Yeah, I think I agree with that a million because I feel like as owners and as people who have pro teams and different things like that, you're like I feel like we have to have our pulse on like how good people are and how what tricks they're doing. But I felt like many years when we started kendama that like there wasn't going to be a harder trick, right? Like I thought so many years that like when Keith did the quad lunar, it's like, well, that's it. Like now he's the best and no one will ever do more than a quad, like why would they? But I feel like every year that happens and then Ben Harrell will release Fringe Case. And now there's a whole new genre of tricks that is, to your point, like almost undescribable unless you're very deep in that meta of like what exactly they're doing. And that's the part that I can't fathom. 98 tap, we talked about people being able to tap forever, but like, dude is actually doing it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like those things I thought we'd never see ever. Period.
Not yet. 98. I didn't even know it was that. I thought it was like 70. I mean, dude.
On a jumbo. So he did it on a jumbo 98. Okay. But the regular record is 63 or something, I think.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, just things like that. Even that's not even a condom, just like a human. You're like, this physically. That's what how does science allow this to happen?
That's what I'm asking with that one, most definitely, is how does science allow for it not to just fall? Like the amount of like he has to be moving his hand at a rate that like a hummingbird's wings flap, like it has to be just so insanely consistent.
Dude, yeah, no, it is. That's good. That's good. Hummingbird speed. Well, it's funny. I recently got into like speed cubing. I'm like a month into it. And speaking of hummingbird, these dudes are like, and you're just like, it must be like, watching a 70 tap when you've never played kendama. Because I watch this and I'm like, dude,
how do you even track it? Yeah. It's just tracking with your eyes, right? There's no tactiles, like knowing where you are on the cube.
Well, for the cube, so I'm like a month deep, and it's these long algorithms that you have to memorize.
Just straight up put them in the dome.
Straight up, like, dude, once you get to a certain point, I mean, we can talk about cubing, but once you get to a certain point, it's literally just, you have to memorize like algorithms. Like, and the people that are really good literally are memorizing maybe like 100 algorithms.
Jeez. So they have a fix for any problem that arises as they like go through.
Yeah, it's like once you get further into it, there's like 4 steps. So you do one thing and then it looks like 50 different things. And then you looks like this many things. So dude, when you get to this like 3rd step, this is where I'm at now. There's 52 different things. And each one is like 10 moves.
Yeah. Oh God, dude!
So
it's a challenge I'm going to be taking on soon. So I'm like trying to get more knowledge because I've purposely not looked into it because I know once I look into it, I'm going to be memorizing algorithms. My memory's super good. Like I have a very photographic memory. So I feel like it's only going to take me practicing to do it, but I haven't wanted to jump off that cliff yet. So, but I'm like really close because I want to start like streaming it as like see how long it takes me live to learn a skill,
Oh, dude, yeah. I'm in like the thick of it, so hit me up. I can recommend some good cubes.
Okay. Perfect, dude.
Let me know. Let me know. It's definitely fun. I've always done, like more like physical stuff, like this is more like mental, and I don't know. I don't think I'm the sharpest tool, so I'm just like I'm a skater. I'm jumping on rails, and like it's not like the smart, So I'm like I like it. It's like the only thing I've ever been into that doesn't like physically hurt, like mentally hurt. Because I mean, even kendama, dude. Now, like honestly, like if I grind a trick for an hour, like it physically hurts me more than like going skating for an hour.
Yes. Yeah.
Like 100%.
Yeah, dude, this year I've started streaming kendama, and the first 2 weeks I was a mess because my legs, even a week after my 3-hour session or whatever it was, my legs were like still not back to normal because it's just, I don't do squats. I don't run every day. You don't do those things. But when once you do it more, like I started filming something else with Coop every week. And so I was doing more dama. By the end of the month, I was like, oh, my legs don't hurt so bad. And I went snowboarding and my legs didn't hurt. It's like, oh, turns out if you use them, it hurts less. But like the motivation to grind tricks when you have 2 young children and a family and a business to run is also something I'm sure you can relate to. That's difficult.
Very, very difficult.
Yeah. So I don't want to take up your whole afternoon, but I do want to touch on just the fact that you are no longer owner of Grain Theory. Now you're just full-time, deal with it. And I just wanted to ask you, like, what's that feel like? Like, do you have any new like aspirations for deal with it or things that you want to do with it? Or are you still just now staying the course, but with a little bit extra or less work on your plate? Or how do you view the future moving forward with deal with it?
Yeah, no, I feel like, I don't know. I've always said in a weird way, like Grain Theory was like my like main band, and like this deal with it was like my solo project, because I could just, Grain Theory has a very clear vision and so it was like, I could just do weird shit and, or weird stuff. And, also like do skating stuff. So, now that I'm not doing Grain Theory, it is like, oh, well, I have to go 100%, because in reality, it's like, I never really could go 100% deal with it because Grain Theory was, my whole life, you know what I mean? So it was like, I kept it. It's like deal with it was like kind of a surprise. Like I said, like I just started it like, I'll just get a box of damas, and it's like, it's still not my main focus, and it just like kind of turned into something, you know what I mean? So I just kind of like, kept it going. But yeah, no, that I plan on going like 100% with it, like full on, like, working on it. Worked on like the Grain Theory stuff happened, and I just went hard into like deal with it. So I've been like, got a totally new shape coming in March. That's like way more modern, like just way better, like leaps and bounds. I just had so much time to focus on like what exactly I want.
Yeah.
So no, I plan on going like 100% with deal with it. So,
that's dope.
That's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah. So you fully designed the new shape?
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's definitely like, I took the V4 and like expanded upon it. It's usually always been just me doing it, and with insight from the team or whatever. But for this one, I just like went a lot harder than normal because I can, you know what I mean? So I plan on going like way harder with the kendama side, and like I've been going harder with the skate side as well. Like have a full like skate team and everything, and we just shot an ad for this magazine, and that's looking pretty cool. So, but I plan on going like 100% with deal with it. Just way more of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, dude, I love it. I bought a plushie today off the site, dude. Let's see it. You got it? Oh, look at there it is, dude.
I've always wanted to make a plushie. We tried to make it playable, but it would have like it was just not fun. And like,
Yeah.
it was like, it would have cost, no one would have bought it because it would have cost so much. So I'm just like, dude, it's a plushie. Like, it's doing its job as a plushie.
Yeah, exactly, dude. I have too many Squishamallows in my house not to have one kendama plushie, dude. So, thanks a lot for giving one away to the stream, dude. One of you lucky people in the chat today are gonna win that sucker. So at the end of the stream, I'll have we'll get you the info of the winner so you can send that on over.
Dude, yeah, for sure.
But dude, thank you very much for joining the stream and for being on here with me and talking about old Dama talk, because I think it's important that we don't lose the history, and people who are just starting kendama don't forget like where it came from, because we really took Japanese kendama and gave it this new life in America, and like people now forever will be taking that and growing it, but it's with the things that you started and I started, and I think it's really cool to reflect on that, and I appreciate you joining me today, and thanks for everything you've done. I can't wait to see the new shape, and dude, until next time, hey?
Dude, yeah, for sure. Yeah, thanks for having me. I agree, like everything that you guys do, I just have so much respect for like what Sweets has done and how much time he put in, and like, it's like, I'm just like, I feel like a dinosaur, like, you grinding it out on Twitch and just like getting this whole new generation stoked, and, just even thinking of the old dudes and getting them on to like, show the history of this thing that we all love is like, I love it, dude. So I'm like honored that you thought of me, and I'm hyped to be on, and I'm hyped to, keep growing this thing.
Dude, I appreciate it a lot, man. Thanks very much. And dude, maybe we should do a little collab action this year. That'd be cool. Do something. I got a cute corgi. Maybe we could do some dog collab action.
Dude, we should, man. It's been, we never really did one.
No,
we never did a Grain Theory Sweets, did we?
No,
we never did any.
Nothing official, dude. So I'm down. Maybe we get that new shape, and maybe we could paint something cool for your new shape. We get some natties and we paint something dope for you. For the new shape.
Dude, I'm super into that. Like, I'm super into it. Dude, deal with the Sweets 2024. Let's do it.
Ooh, all right. You guys heard it here first, man. Well, thanks a lot, Matt. I really appreciate you being here, and we'll see you again next time.
All right, man. Thanks.
All right. Later, buddy.
Peace.